Now a voyage around your fridge, a scientific expedition to find out what health risks lie in store for the average family from food that they believe is safe. Cold storage provides important protection against the bacteria that can cause food poisoning. But as Martin King reports, there are still traps for the unwary.
This is the Dudley household in Melbourne, and like most other Australian homes, the fridge gets a real workout. And it's just as frenetic around the fridge at the Kolskis.
Every few minutes somebody's hopping into something, "Mum, I'm hungry," and they hop in the fridge, so it's constant.
But how safe is the food in our fridges, and is it making us sick? The results will surprise you.
Yes, you certainly can get sick from food that you prepare and eat in the home.
Barry Shea is a scientist with the CSIRO. He studied food poisoning in the home.
I think in some instances people say, oh, I got a bug and it must have been something I ate. So I think they're aware of it.
In fact, experts say our fridges could be a major source of food poisoning, and the worst offenders are leftovers.
Hello, come in.
Dario Komar is a food scientist with a company called Microtech Laboratories.
How sick can you get? Some people are very sensitive to food poisoning and can certainly be incapacitated for, 4 or 5 days or more. Death is a rarity, but it can happen.
Microtech scientists have agreed to test the food in 6 Australian fridges.
So, do you mind if we have a peek in your fridge?
It's like looking at my dirty washing.
Andrea Dudley is married with 3 children. She allowed Dario to snoop in her fridge and take samples of leftover curry, meat sauce, some sliced chicken, and even this.
I knew you were going to find that. Well, I don't know who put it away like that.
Did you do that?
No.
If you've got food in your fridge like this, be prepared. When tested, this pasta was bacterial dynamite, but more on that later.
So, Martin, welcome to the Kolski fridge.
Then it was over to the Kolski household, where Barrister Gadd gave us open slather on the contents of his calculator.
Can I ask you about this particular, is this salami?
I was afraid you were going to ask me about that one.
Scientist Trish Sarah took samples of the family's baked beans, chicken leftovers, even those pickled herrings.
Got a spoon, mate?
Yeah, there you go.
Next, Trish ventured into the Milner household, where Sam lives with 4 mates. And with takeaway high on the menu, you'd expect a few surprises here.
That curried beef casserole in there doesn't look too good.
This one?
Yeah.
How long's a while?
The beef casserole, 2 months.
You're joking.
So Trish pulls out the chicken stir-fry for testing, along with some shaved ham, old salami, and that historical beef curry.
Well, people, I don't think are permanently conscious of temperature control and how quickly bacteria grow. Most people don't realise that bacteria multiply approximately every 20 minutes.
Another common mistake is that we leave our food on the bench for too long before we put it in the fridge. But then we make another mistake. We leave it in the fridge for too long. But how long is too long?
Leftovers should really not be kept much longer than 3 days in a refrigerator.
And our results prove that. Out of 6 households, 4 flunked the bacteria test. In all cases, except one, the food was more than 4 days old. The food in the Kolski's fridge was a borderline pass, but the fridge itself failed the temperature test. It should be no more than 5 degrees, but was 12.2. In fact, all of our fridges were running too hot. The Dudleys, though, didn't fare so well. The basic rule of thumb is that foods like this should have no more than 100,000 bacterial platelets per gram. But last night's spaghetti jumped off the scale at 2 million.
How terrible.
It probably got left out on the bench long before it got refrigerated.
Something else, that's not all. The processed sliced chicken, which you're going to give to your son, I think, for lunch, had a plate count of 400 million.
Well, I would have been poisoning him, wouldn't have I?
I'd say so, yeah. So,
Poor Harry.
Well, here's your tests, boys. Salami was 1.3 million. That's not too bad for that sort of food. The ham
was 2.6 million. That was pretty high. The Malaysian beef takeaway curry, 100 million. What do you think of that?
Yeah. Bit over the top, isn't it?
Yeah. Glad you didn't eat it.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, the bacteria counts, they're excessive and certainly could pose a risk of food poisoning.
The chicken stir-fry, 2 days old, was only 18,000, but what they found here was a very high count, or pretty high count of E. coli.
Oh,
do you know what that is?
Oh, I've heard about it. Not really, though.
I asked the scientist what it was, and he said it was faecal matter.
Doesn't mean much to me.
That indicates poor personal hygiene by the people handling the food. They must have touched the food or handled it.
After they went to the toilet?
Possibly, yes.
Did you cook it?
Yeah, I cooked it.
Yeah. What's going on, Whitey?
Just a standard chicken stir-fry, I thought.
Other items in the fridge will keep longer, like cheeses, mayonnaise, mustard and processed meats. It helps if the food is vacuum sealed. For dairy products, check the use-by date.
It's an old wives' tale, this business about if you put hot food in a refrigerator, it will go off. It's exactly the opposite. You know, it will, if you cool the food quicker, it will preserve it for longer.
Fruit and vegetables keep reasonably well, but most people are in the habit of sort of hiding them away in refrigerators, and they can also fester away and rot.
Dario says everyone should buy a cheap fridge thermometer. It could save you a trip to the doctors.
If some of these houses were restaurants, what would happen?
I think they would be closed down by the health department because they would be in breach of good hygiene practices.
I feel terrible. I feel really, really guilty. No, look, seriously, it's a shock to me, and I guess we all need to be much more aware. It's good we're going to learn through this story.
Good to know it's floating around in there.
And glad you didn't eat it.
For sure. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Good to know what's floating around in there. Martin King reporting there. Next, the man who says that with the right approach, anyone can get a job within 30 days.
Today, getting a job is all about selling yourself.
It's going good. I'm working hard. I'm getting on with the boys.